Hello, this is Morgan Evans, and this is my submission for the oral presentation. Um, this pie chart here is about what my table setup would look like. And up at the top, we start out with Hamlet and Elise because they're both intelligent and well-written men while also being extremely stubborn in some respects. So they have enough similarities that I think they would get along quite well. Um, and then with Elise and the old man from the cafe, um, it's about the same. They're both similar people in the way that they're both gentlemen, and are a bit soft spoken. Um, I think that they would get along quite nicely for very similar reasons. And then the cafe guy and Emily would be next to each other because they're both extremely reserved. Emily more than the cafe guy, but the two of them would get along, being that they understand how they prefer their privacy over other things. And then Emily and Claudius would be together because they both have royal standing and both had very severe scandals during their time as royalty. Emily being the strange things happening on the grounds, and after her death, finding the corpse of this guy. And then Claudius being marrying his sister by marriage, and killing his brother, excuse me. Claudius and the grandmother, they don't have too terribly much in common, but I think that they're similar enough people that they would have a kind of mutual respect for one another. Um, they wouldn't like get along swimmingly, but I think that they'd still be cordial enough that they wouldn't be like uncomfortable with each other. Goodman Brown and the grandmother, however, are very similar in such a way that they have similar religious beliefs. Um, so they would be able to talk a lot about like their church and how they worship the same God, basically. Um, Goodman Brown and Cloxa, much like Claudius and the grandmother, they don't have a too terribly much in common, but they're similar enough people that I think that they could get along quite well and still be cordial without like being like great friends. The Robbie Kid and Cloxa I have next to each other because they both understand that like um, loving somebody changes their worldview drastically. Being that like Cloxa with Elsie suddenly was fine with her marriage, everything was good, and the Robbie Kid wanted nothing but to be with this woman, and wanting to please her, and they understand how worldviews can change when they fall for somebody. The Robbie Kid and Fortinbras, again, not a whole terribly lot in common, but I think that they could still like have a kind of respectful conversation without without like getting into a disagreement or making themselves too terribly uncomfortable. And Fortinbras and the Misfit would be next to each other because they understand, like with Fortinbras being a warrior prince and the Misfit being as he is, they both understand that sometimes there are moments where peace is no longer an option, and they need to make that choice to step ahead into a violent sort of nature. And the Misfit and Hamlet would get along very well because both of them, they are very self-aware in what they are and what they have become over time, and they accept themselves in spite of that. They know what they are, they don't try to hide it. They're both very similar in the ways that they know full well what they're doing, but continue to do it anyway because that's who they are.